Welcome everybody to I, the Serpent Tarot, for another pick a card reading. So today's pick a card reading was inspired by Inner Traditions Publishing very kindly sending me a copy of a new deck that you see some of the cards from here called the Female Archangels Oracle by Callista. This is a very, very beautiful oracle that looks at a very interesting idea which has inspired this particular reading. So the deck talks about the fact that archangels, though not really masculine or feminine in any traditional sense or gender sense, have often been portrayed in the masculine form in a lot of, not all, but in a lot of traditions and a lot of spiritual pathways and oracle decks and all of that sort of thing. So what Callista has done with this is had a look at what she calls the Archeiai, which are effectively the feminine aspect of any given archangel. So you can almost think of it as the divine counterpart to the sort of quote-unquote divine masculine aspect of a particular archangel. And the way she describes it, which is sort of genius, I think, is that if we think of the divine feminine side of it as the creative principle, the idea, the creation, the motivation, the energy, and then the divine masculine or the more traditional archangel, in this case as they're portrayed in this deck, as being how that is manifest as much as anything else, then you can see how those energies operate. So what I wanted to do with this, because it's so inspiring, is to actually introduce you to the Archeiai, the female side of it, and have that as part of your choice for the reading that you go to, or readings if you care to go to more than one. And of course, you're more than welcome to normally, but particularly for a deck like this, because there could be a number of archangels and Archeiai around you. But introduce you to that, and then what I have done is this was shuffled and intuitively asked in spirit about which Archeiai to have as the ones for each reading. I then very systematically went and found the corresponding archangel, so that will be part of the reading, so the creation and the manifestation energy, and then another couple of cards more generally from the deck about either other archangels or other energies that are around for this core part of the reading. So the whole reading is going to be really about introducing to that energy that is around you, that has a message for you, and how that manifests in your life and how you can strengthen that connection and that energy. So I hope you're as excited as I am. I think it's such a beautiful way of looking at the breadth of what an archangel energy is, and reclaiming the feminine. You don't have to be a woman for this. You don't have to identify as a woman. None of that is necessary. It's really just understanding that balance within. And so it's a really interesting way of also looking at the sort of divine counterpart energy, the divine feminine and masculine within oneself. So that's the idea of the reading. I hope that intrigues you. I'm really excited to use this beautiful deck. I'll just put down the numbers for those that like to choose by numbers. But as I say, what I did was I actually separated out all the Archeiai cards from the deck, and I shuffled and then asked Spirit to guide me on which 4 to do. And then I found the corresponding archangel, which you'll see in the reading when you choose a reading. But if it helps you, apart from like just seeing the images, for pile number 1, we have Archeiai Serenity, which talks about weaving a new story. For pile number 2, we have Archeiai Mercy, cherishing your sacredness. For pile number 3, we have Archeiai Purity, cleanse and detoxify. And for pile number 4, we have Archeiai Charity, bring in love. So remember, think of those energies, the Archeiais, as a kind of like an uprising, a swelling of energy, emotion, aim, creation within, to sort of see what energy you may most identify with, or as I say, more than one if you wish. When you know what reading or readings you want to go to, the timestamps are in the description box below, and I'll see you there. Oh, and just one thing, for those who like to look at the decks that I have and often get them, and I know some people do that, I'm not sure if at the time of filming, and I'll publish this very soon after filming, the deck is yet available. It may be. I saw it in pre-order status, but it will be available soon if it's not. So just keep an eye out on the website for Inner Traditions, which I've got linked below if you're interested in the deck, if it isn't out yet. Okay, so I will see you in your reading. Welcome, pile 1, to your reading. So you came to the reading with Archeiai Serenity, and she is the counterpart to Archangel Cassiel. So this is the primary energy that is driving the message for you at the moment, and its manifestation, how you can do it. And then we also have an Archangel and an Archeiai sort of as additional energies around this to go to the core message. But what this is telling me is that probably the people who've come to pile one, if you've come to the right reading, you've been dealing with some shadow aspects, you've been dealing with difficult things, challenges in life, maybe sort of clearing out energy, getting yourself into balance in some way. As you can sort of see, we have the yin yang sort of symbols and duality of light and dark and so forth, connecting the Archeiai and Archangel in this case. So the Archeiai serenity is coming to you to say that you can move through that sort of energy. You can start to look at what you would want to create, having understood the shadow, having understood the challenge, to start to, as it says, weave a new story, to bring in that which clears out the energy and is what you would want to bring into life. And it's interesting because one of the things that this card talks about is that there is a very strong symbol with the Archeiai serenity, which is spiders. So if you see spiders in your house, if you see pictures of spiders, anything like that, it's a sign that she is there and she is supporting you to weave the new story, to create the new. So, and it's interesting that a particular synchronicity is talked about because as an associated energy to this overarching theme, Archangel Jeremiah is all about signs, symbols, and synchronicities, is all about seeing that. So pay attention. I think that there is a lot of information coming to you from Spirit, from the Archangel realm, and probably other realms, and you should pay attention. See how there's 1111 there? You may well be someone who sees 1111, angel numbers, those sorts of things. Pay attention to that, and in particular, I think, with Archeiai serenity, to things around spiders and anything that suggests you, or webs, if you see webs or something like that, anything that makes you feel that you can create your own story, having understood either the light and shadow within yourself or within a situation. So the drive, the creative energy here is to create a more balanced life, a more balanced outcome to a situation, if there's a particular thing that this is referring to for you, or even more balance within yourself. The manifestation of it with Archangel Cassiel is about being able to move through that without fear, to be protected and honoured as you go through that, and to be able to face anything within yourself or the situation that is difficult with courage and rise out of that energy. So many of you may literally felt you've been in the dark night of the soul. You may have been in conflict situations in your personal or professional life. You may have been trying to balance energies of wanting to be calm and feel that you're in control, but also feeling all the sorts of dynamic energies spiritually of the universe. But I think that this Archeiai and the Archangel Cassiel are here to make you be able to move forward now, to start to encapsulate what it is that you've seen and learnt, and do it without, as I say, fear or favour, to be able to move forward. And what is beautiful is, along with the signs and synchronicities that Jeremiah is bringing you, we have the Archeiai of grace. And this is literally about that, bringing flow and energy. Grace, to me, is one of the most powerful concepts spiritually. It's the one that goes beyond any of the shoulds or shouldn'ts, and which is really something that you think about when you're looking at the shadow, like what should I do, what shouldn't I do, what's true to me, what isn't true, all of those things where we kind of put restrictions on ourselves, we worry about the consequences of something and so forth. Grace is that act of divine love, really, from the universe that is not an issue of deserving, it's an issue of just a gift. And I think this Archeiai here is to help you bring that energy in, to trust that having gone through this process of looking at your own shadow and your own internal stuff compared to the external world, and getting that sort of serenity and capacity to now face your fears, rise and become who you are, you're going to get the grace of symbols, and you're going to get an energy of the universe sort of giving you a bit of applause and saying good, and move forward without fear. So I do think most of you, this is an energy and a message about you arising from a difficult situation, or about you now taking forward and being proud of and courageous with what you have found within yourself or a situation. But do pay attention to synchronicities. They're going to be very strong. And do trust in the end that grace is with you, that there is a sense that you have done the work. So that's a really lovely message to start with, because I do think if these two cards, that you came to Serenity and then with Cassiel, there really is something that you've been going through internally, externally, or both. So let's use tarot to get a little bit more of an idea about this. So asking what's the key message in this balance of energies of creation and manifestation for you. I'm using the Rainbow Moon Tarot because it's a tarot that's sort of fairly gender fluid, and I think that sort of fits with the energy of this reading. So we're asking what's the key message. We're then going to say what area or areas in your life is this most manifesting, and then how do others respond or contribute to it, because we are part of a broader web. You know, we don't operate alone. So firstly, a little bit more about what the key message of this balance is for you. Page of Daggers, which is Page of Swords. Chancellor of Cups, which is King of Cups. Lovers. Nine of Daggers, which is Nine of Swords, reversed. And Chancellor of Daggers, which is King of Swords, reversed. Okay, so firstly, what I would say with all the sort of dagger cards that we have here, a lot of this is about the way that you think, your beliefs and your understanding of the world in some way. So that's where the fear sits. It's also that, though it is definitely saying, and it's interesting, with the Nine of Daggers reversed, Nine of Swords reversed tells me that you are ready to be courageous, that you are coming out of a period where you were probably quite anxious, where you, I would say, with the Page of Daggers here, we're doing a lot of communication, a lot of connection to try and find out what was really going on. And you've now come out of almost a sort of a sense of being paralyzed with fear or worry. But you do know, with the Chancellor of Daggers reversed, that there are some people and some things in this situation that are not necessarily trustworthy or that are not necessarily serving you. If this is you, pile one, then you have come to a realization that some of your beliefs and potentially your fears have got in the way of you communicating within yourself and with the universe, and have got in the way of your true emotional authenticity and sort of maturity with the Chancellor of Cups or King of Cups, as I say. There is a return to the heart here. It could be, for some of you, that this is playing out around a relationship, a love relationship or a very close friendship. This could also be you bringing in balance into your own life between your head and your heart, because there's a very strong sort of thing here between head, which has been ruling things, and the heart, which is coming up stronger. And it is coming up stronger, even though 3 of these cards out of 5 are in the realm of the mind. The King is reversed here, so is suppressed now to some degree, whereas the King of Cups is upright. So I think that this balance, you're bringing head and heart into balance, possibly as a result of a key relationship that has caused you some anxiety. Or it could be, as I say, because within yourself, you felt less fearful maybe when you thought you had all the answers and it was in your mind, but your heart is rising up to say, no, that's not balanced enough. That's actually taking you into worry as opposed to taking you into courage. The interesting thing, though, I do think, is the Page of Daggers or Page of Swords is still upright here. So it's not saying that you're completely going to turn away from the mind. It's saying that you use it more as communication. And with the Archangel Jeremiah, I think this is where you're going to connect. This particular character here, you see, has their third eye really opened. So I think this is, you are now going to start to use a powerful mind, which you have, to understand the signs, to get to that sort of next level, and then connect that to your heart. And as I say, for many of you, this will be probably around a key relationship. As I say, it could be a love relationship as in romance, but it doesn't have to be. It could be family, friends, work, whatever. It could be anything. And I think this is bringing you more into balance with that. And you're looking maybe even for signs and synchronicities from this other person. But this is, I think, the triumph of now the heart coming out from behind the scenes. And this is part of like finding the serenity. In your heart, you can find the serenity. You can let go of the fears so that you can go forward with courage. But you're not completely closing off your mind. And I think that's good, because it's always about balance. So let's ask, what areas of your life is this most impacting? Three of Crystals, which is Three of Pentacles, Two of Cups reversed, the Sun, Four of Crystals, which is Four of Pentacles. Okay, so I think this is going to depend on who's coming to the reading. I think there are 2 very key areas that this could be impacting, and it could be impacting both for some of you. For some of you, this is with the crystals or pentacles on either side, the 3 and the 4, very much around how you're manifesting in the world, career, what you would want in terms of creating money, wealth, all of those sort of things. And you are starting to work out how connecting with others can take you to a sense of a foundation. But you're also aware that you need to connect in not just materially or mentally. You're also aware you need to connect in emotionally, because with the Four of Crystals, you can get a bit stuck with that energy. So part of this is to make sure you don't get stuck, that you don't set a thing in place around who you connect with, work with, or whatever, and then just stick with that. You're actually meant to rise and do more. See the signs, find the grace coming in. For some of you, it is about sorting out, I think, a romantic relationship with the Two of Cups reversed, or a very strong friendship that's been an issue. And I think that this is about you understanding whether or not this stays in your life, if that's the case with the Sun, whether this is part of your life path. If it's playing out materially, it's like this was probably a very strong friendship, very strong sort of collaboration, but emotionally it's not in balance. So can you bring it into balance, or does it keep you stuck? So I think for some that have come here, this is about getting into your heart and understanding whether you want to be with somebody or not, as opposed to thinking, well, I put all this energy and investment into it, like I have to be committed, I have to do this. This is the way you do things. This is the rules sort of idea. So for some of you, it's about that. Is this really in my heart? And I think for some of you, this might be suggesting you have to consider your life path. Do you see yourself on a life path with this person or not? Are you aligned for that? But if it's around work, I think it's that there are some collaborations and some things that are good, but some that are not going to be for the long haul and might get you stuck. Again, it's like, what do you really want to create in your life path? Don't stick just with the people you're working with or the place that you are just because it feels safe, because it's ultimately not going to help you create this energy if you don't take the courage of the Sun on to move forward. So let's see how other people are responding to this energy, because I think there is a lot about other people here, actually. I think it's about you trying to understand this, and you've tended to do it on a kind of material and mental level, but your heart is now saying no, I'm stuck if I don't start to really listen to my heart. But other people will be responding. So let's see how they respond to you taking on this serene, setting your narrative and having the courage to rise up and be true to your life path. Pile 1. Devil reversed. Tower reversed. Okay. Knight of Cups. Well, this is interesting. So firstly, some are going to really love to see that you are liberating yourself. So you definitely do have some good relationships around you, work, love, or whatever it is. I do feel in this that there's at least one that maybe is going to keep you stuck or isn't right, but there are many who are going to see you as liberating yourself, and that's a positive thing. And what I think you're going to find is that most will go along with this energy, but they'll do it sort of incrementally. Like you may get some pushback from at least one that feels like, are you really uprooting everything? But my sense is that they start to understand that that's not necessarily the case. You're making an assessment of what do you do next? Is this an energy that moves forward? And I think, so if you are in a relationship and you're wondering if it could go to the next level, or if you're working with people and you're wondering whether you could get out of being stuck, this suggests it's possible. This suggests they'll understand the energy and go with you. And certainly, if it's a relationship, you may find, if part of this is this really going anywhere, that you starting to really express what you would want is going to bring a very significant offer through. So if you're in a relationship, it might be, let's take it to the next level. Otherwise, it could be bringing in love relationships or other sort of collaborations or whatever. Once you really start to show that you can do this, people will work with you, I think. But you will be more in control. So I think this feels like a bargain in a way, but a good bargain. Like, okay, we can see you need to sort of free up this energy. We're going to sort of work with you step by step, and it brings in new offers. So there's definitely a sign that overall people are going to respond to it well, that they're going to meet you more than halfway, which is really nice. So part of the fears that you might have had, you don't need to have. And this is partly, I think, the synchronicities, that the timing is right for this, and the grace energy, the universe is trying to move in your direction. So that's very, very positive. So let's have a look at some other female, feminine energy around you. So, and this is particularly looking at what it is that you're trying to create, which is, I think, the new you that is more balanced between head and heart and material and kind of spiritual aspects. So we're going to get a couple of modern goddess or archetype energy, and then we'll also get some color goddess energy for you. This is really more in the space of the Archeiai, the thing that you're trying to create. So we have Amaret, I always find it hard to say this, Amaterasu, and we have Hera. Wow, okay. So Amaterasu is about bringing the sun out, is about bringing the light out. So this is an interesting addition to what the energy here might be. She was a sort of a goddess of great creativity, joy, radiance, and she was hidden away for a while in a cave, but she eventually was able to come out and shine her light. So there is something here. It's like you've limited yourself. And to some degree, you've done that. Because as I say, I think you're going to find that when you start to sort of push back and you take on Cassiel's sort of like sense of courage, that in fact people are going to see the radiance and are going to align with it. The sun energy, you're very strong on that level, but you've self-limited yourself. So I think Amaterasu here is to help you remember that what you want to do is beautiful and is worth doing and will bring in a lot of very strong emotional positive energy. Hera is taking personal accountability and not taking any rubbish, to be honest, because Hera, was married to Zeus, and Zeus, was all powerful in many ways, but, wasn't always well behaved. So I think that there is a kind of an energy here of you take personal accountability for what you do, and you are going to expect that from others as well. So this may be suggesting that part of this, when you were kind of worried about what to do and you were trying to do the right thing all the time, is that maybe you took on too much responsibility. This is about getting it into balance in the relationships that you're in and giving you, again, that sort of that kind of strength and courage energy. So it's interesting that Hera sort of naturally fell where Cassiel is. So this is the courage. Amaterasu fell where the sort of creation of the new and real you is. So that's that sort of sense of create the sun, create the light, create the radiance, and then you will have the courage and the structure to move forward. So I say you're not letting go completely of structure. It's just that you're kind of letting it moderate a bit, and this makes you a leader. People respond to you in this way. So let's also get some color energy around the feminine principle that you're actually bringing into being. So we have dandelion, manifestation, optimism, and wishes. So there you go. You can bring into being. Yes, you can. I mean, this is such a sun energy to this. I don't know what your sun sign is, but I think where your sun is very important in your chart. It's always important for everybody, but I think for you around this, it's probably, meant to be sort of bringing your energy up and showing you courage and dynamism and so forth. And this is definitely saying, yes, you can develop this. This message is very, very strong. And you're going to, as I say, get a better response than you expect. People see you as someone that becomes a little bit aspirational. They see you do this and free yourself from those sort of limitations. Some of you teach people this, actually. You may have a process that you do this and then you teach others to how to get in touch with who they truly are and their courage to be who they truly are. So very, very strong optimistic energy around you. It's a very, very lovely feeling actually around this particular reading. So let's get you just a little bit of sort of non-specific, like whether it's male or female, but 5D energy as well. So this is your higher self talking to you. We've been listening to the archangels and the goddesses now, but let's hear your own higher self talk to you about how this message from the Archeiai and archangels can help you. A difficult path is being revealed. Ask for help and learn that we are all connected. So there is something difficult that you're dealing with, but you'll have grace. You'll have symbols. Like connect to this Archangel and Archeiai energy, because that will give you the courage and give you the capacity to find your way through it. I think most of you are in that already. You'll know what that is, but you are going to find you can find your way through it. That's very powerful. And let's use a different deck for another message from your higher self. Flourish. Conditions are perfect for growth and expansion in business or situations you are passionate about. Yeah, you are meant to grow. This feels more difficult, I think, than it's actually going to be. There is some negotiation. There is going to be some sort of like adjustment that's necessary. There may be relationships that either shift significantly or that you move away from. Those things are possible. But ultimately, this is about you becoming more who you're meant to be, and you will flourish when you do it. This is what you are meant to do. You're meant to be successful in love, in work, in whatever it is, in spiritual development, whatever it is that this is referring to for you. Okay, so what we also wanted to do with this is then sort of say, okay, let's see what you create, picking up the Archeiai, and what you manifest, picking up the Archangel, if you take on this advice and this energy from the Archangel and Angelic realms. So firstly, what you can create, this is partly really you that you're creating, but your next path and your way through to something more optimistic. But what's the creative energy that you can tap into? Community. Okay, so this is definitely saying, and this is says ask for help and learn that we are all connected, that you may be worried about the pushback from others, but as I say, you're going to find most people work with you. There may be, it's always possible that a couple won't get it and will move away, but by and large you're going to find a new community, you're going to find the people who get what you do, and you do need to connect with others. This is part of the courage. I mean, part of the courage is you understanding, accepting your own shadow, your own light and dark, your own different sort of principles, all of that sort of stuff, so that you can be true to yourself with courage. But part of it is also, I think, expressing it to others, because you maybe have been keeping that because of worry under wraps a bit. It's time to communicate with the Page of Daggers or Page of Swords. Time to connect and find your people. So let's see, if you do that, what you manifest through your courage and connection. Protection. Now that's interesting. I think you'll probably end up protecting people in the community out of this. I think this is the thing. People are going to see who you are becoming and your courage, and I think you will help others. But I think you're drawing protection in. This is the grace energy. This is the Archangel realm sort of giving you the courage. If you are in a very difficult situation and it takes a little while to incrementally work your way through, you're manifesting protection. You definitely are getting Archangel Cassiel with you. If you show the courage, they will, that energy will protect you. So, and I think in the end, you protect others. So there's something in this, whether it's work, whether it's a community environment, whether it's a love relationship, there is something where fear in some ways was justified in as much as there is something difficult. But you going into that courage, you will bring that protection in. You will help more than just yourself. This is part of the reason why grace is there and why people will follow you, why people will see what you are trying to do and support you. Okay, so to finish off, just want to see what astrology or numerology energy will also help you in connecting with and working in this creation to manifestation cycle that you are drawing these particular angel energies in for. Sixth house. So yeah, community. It's definitely in service to others in some way. It is your life path, and it could be primarily in work, but if it's in love relationships and so forth, it's somehow in service to that, in service to the higher ideal of a relationship and what the right relationship should be. But you are getting this sort of support from the angelic realms because this is bigger than you, even though your personal understanding of yourself and your personal courage is such a shining light with Amaterasu to this whole pathway. 6, yeah, community, over and over and over. Sharing, benefactors, protection, all of that energy is really strong around this. So, if this is in a workplace or a community group and you've been worried about if you were more true to who you were, there was going to be an issue with it. I don't believe there will. I mean, there may be a little bit of falling away with some, but most are going to be with you. And what you do is going to be really powerful. If it, as I say, is in love or whatever, you're going to find a purpose, a cause that's bigger than even the relationship that you're in. And Sagittarius, freedom, philosophy, beliefs. Yeah, because a lot of this is about beliefs. A lot of the energy around this is around beliefs. So this is getting more free in your beliefs and very sort of like action-oriented and forward-moving with Sagittarius. It's sort of, you want people to be with you. What I get from this is Sagittarius around relationships, whether it's love or work or community, is it's the principle that you want people with you because they freely choose to be with you. I do feel with this whole energy, it's as though you had yourself in a bit of a straitjacket around, what you should do and what you shouldn't do and what the right thing is to do and all that very strict regulation. This is about freeing that up, being more true to yourself and having the relationships that are with you, not because of some concept of commitment, but because there are joint things that you could do together. The true love that exists in love relationships, the community and the same causes and the connection. that is freeing and liberating. So in a weird way, this situation feels the same in that you are working with others or loving someone else, and there's that sort of sense of commitment, but it's a commitment that comes freely by you being prepared to be very true to who you are. So I hope that this resonates for you, Pile 1. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear about it. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 2, to your reading. So you've come to the reading with the Archeiai Mercy, and her counterpart, Archangel counterpart, is Archangel Azrael. Now, the interesting thing I have to say, looking at this and feeling into the energy, is that there's a very specific theme to this, and if this doesn't resonate, then possibly go to another reading, because it is very, very specific, I think. Because the Archeiai Mercy, which talks about cherishing your sacredness, this is what they call Magdalena energy. So there's that sort of sense of Mary Magdalene, that kind of thing. And it's a energy of mercy, kindness, and healing of the soul, where particularly there might have been some sort of repression of the feminine side within you, whatever gender you are, sort of, or of the way that you wish to love, or the way that you wish to express your passion, and all of those sort of things. Or whether, so this could range from feeling that you were being discriminated against for your gender identification, or any of those sort of issues in a workplace, or around community groups or friends or family, through to literally having gone through some form of trauma around your love nature and around those that were close to you and so forth. So there's definitely that sort of energy here of this is a positive message. I don't mean to be sort of saying it's negative, but in its sense of the mercy coming through, it is about rising out of that and reclaiming your inner beauty, or your right to be who you are, your love, your feminine nature, all of those sorts of things. But it requires really looking at it and going through a kind of an ending of patterns that are no longer working for you, which is why the Archangel Azrael, which is an archangel of death. So it's not saying you're dying or anything, but it's an archangel of endings and beginnings, of death and rebirth, is the counterpart here. It is pretty much saying that the energy around you, something needs to shift, something needs to change. So it could be in a love relationship, it could be in a workplace, it could be in friendships, it could be in family dynamics, but there is a sense of repression that has been around you. And so the Archeiai Mercy here is to help you rise up, and the Archangel Azrael is here to help you go through that change. And the Archangel Azrael is represented by a crow, or a raven. So if you see a crow or a raven or a dark bird, that could be a sign or a symbol that Azrael is with you. It's also connected to things like prophecy and so forth. So there is that kind of energy around you of seeing what you could be, what you could develop into. So this is specific, I think. The people here, this particular divine counterpart, archangel energy, is here to heal something profound and to let you shift out of patterns, connections, or whatever that have not served you. Now, what supports this, we have also the Archeiai Harmony, which is about how to bring in harmony within oneself and in the relationships around you. And this talks a lot about music, bringing music. So I think there's a very key message here from the archangel realms about using music to soothe your soul, to reconnect to who you are, to what you love, to take you through the difficult times, and maybe even as a meditative thing, because this also has the energy of perspective, which is zooming out and relaxing. It's the sense of saying, this is so personal, it's so intimate, it's so close to you that sometimes we can get overwhelmed by it. Music can help you calm down, and kind of literally zooming out and just looking at it as though it wasn't happening to you, but it was happening to someone else, or happening as a theme, can help you in going through working out what to change and what to shift. But this is pretty profound. I think, if you've come to this reading and this resonates for you, there is a very big shift in reclaiming your inner beauty and your right to be you. I mean, it could also be, you've been dealing with jealousy and bad competition that's been trying to repress you or make you feel bad. It could be anything, but there's something that needs to change. So let's see with tarot a little bit more detail. I'm using the Rainbow Moon Tarot because it's a gender fluid representation of the energies, which I thought would fit with this particular type of question. So we're going to start a little bit more about the key message from the Archeiai and Archangel here, and then what area of your life is it most impacting and how are other people impacting it. So first of all, a little bit more about the key message that is coming to you. So we have the Four of Daggers or Swords reversed, the Warden of Cups or Queen of Cups reversed, the Chancellor or King of Crystals, which is Pentacles upright, Chancellor of Daggers, which is King of Swords upright, Page of Daggers, which is Swords upright. So this is definitely about reclaiming the inner feminine. It's saying it again with the effectively the Queen of Cups reversed. There is something in your emotional life, your feminine energy, your sort of emotional acuity that is being suppressed, and it may be for some of you by one or two very specific men or people who have very strong masculine energy, because with the King effectively of Pentacles and of Swords here, it could be two people, or it could be one who is very head and materially oriented that suppresses this. So this could be a lover, this could be a friend, this could be a work colleague, this could be a family member, but there is something that the male energy is dominant here. And I think this is why you've got Archangel Azrael, a very strong transformative energy around this, because something needs to shift. And part of this is in communication with the Page of Daggers or Page of Swords, like communicating more strongly, because at the moment that's the dominant energy. With the Four of Daggers reversed, it's saying that this is a call for you to come out from behind the scenes and effectively say who you are and what you want, and reclaim your inner feminine energy, your inner sort of beauty, your inner sense of self. So this could be in a workplace with that kind of like Pentacles and Swords energy. You could be in a workplace that is very anti-female, for instance, and you may be a woman or identify as a woman. Or it could be a little bit more subtle than that, and it's very kind of structured and ordered and male in that sense. You know, it could be a little, as I say, it doesn't have to be really clear, and it doesn't necessarily mean that, if you looked at it, you'd see all the men were in the positions of power, for instance. It may be more subtle than that if it's in a workplace, but it does not really, it likes material things and it likes facts, and it's not that interested in this emotional stuff, thank you very much. But you need to be able to communicate this, because this is very true to you, and it actually would bring everything much more in balance. If it's a relationship, then it's someone who's dominating through material and intellectual dominance, and this is about you understanding and coming into the truth of who you are and having that capacity to decide, can I talk this through and shift the energy and become, turn the Warden of Cups or Queen of Cups upright, or do I need to move on? And this is the fundamental question. So let's ask, what areas of your life is it most impacting? So Death reversed, Five of Cups reversed, Tower reversed, Four of Cups. So this feels like it's more emotional than work related, I have to say. It could be work related, but if it's work related, there's a lot of emotional energy around it, a lot of emotional stagnation around it. But with death reversed, it's stopping you from making a decision, because it's stopping the communication. It's like it's not even. There's something about this in a relationship or wherever this is manifesting. As I say, I think for many of you it is in a relationship. It could be a love relationship, it could be a family one, it could be a friendship. But what is happening is your voice is being silenced. Your input, which is more sort of the sort of divine feminine and more around the emotional energy, is being silenced. So you can't make a decision, you can't speak, you're sort of stuck in this sort of energy. You can't process it out. And it's interesting, because the Tower reversed to me is often better than the Tower upright, in as much as the Tower reversed allows you to do things incrementally. But I feel what's happening here is that you can't make every time you try and make a choice about this, there's an emotional block that's occurring. And I think it's, whether it's deliberately or not, it's by another party associated with this. So at best, you feel like you can work on the edges of it. You can't do the major transformation that is really required by the Archangel Azrael. It's hard to make a decision. So, this could be a relationship where you feel like you can't be in it, but you can't leave it either. It could be, as I say, a workplace that has that sort of energy of silencing anything and at most only tinkering at the edges, but not dealing with the true heart of what culturally is going on, for instance. But I do feel for most of you, this is probably around a primary relationship. And I feel like at best you get to tinker at the edges. It's something in your life where the emotional energy is just blocked, and you, every time you try and speak, it's not heard or it's silenced, and as such, at best, or lip service is paid to it. There could be a sort of sense here that you want to sort of talk, say, in a relationship and say, I need more quality emotional time. The person might go, okay, well, look, maybe Saturday afternoons I can spend with you. But it's like it's tinkering at the edges. It's not looking at the key thing, whatever this energy is. This is why Azrael is here, to help you make the bigger changes that are necessary, and to make the decision about, is this something you stay in or something you move on from. So let's see how others are responding to this, because I do feel this is created by others silencing you, not listening to you, not respecting that energy, and in the worst case, almost demonizing or putting you down. So this is really an energy that needs to shift, pile two. So let's see how others respond when you take on this advice. The World reversed, 5 of Crystals, 9 of Cups. Okay, so it's good to see 9 of Cups. Some people are going to respond fine to this, and it's going to depend on who's coming. Some of you may actually find that when you really start to speak this and you push past the sort of like incremental blocks, you can actually find happiness, that it makes it better. It can also be that if this is around a workplace or a family situation or friendships, that you have people around who see what you're doing and they're happy for you. But there's someone in this who's going to resist this. They're going to resist. They do not want to end the situation as it is. It suits them, and they're worried about being alone. So I think for most of you, there's someone quite manipulative around you. Whether they're consciously manipulative is another matter. You will know. This could be coming out of a lot of fear, and they might have a lot of issues around, the sort of belief structures that have been put into them as they've grown up, or culturally, or something like that. But you're going to find some resistance. And some may sort of say, oh, well, I'm not going to sort this out. I'm just leaving, and try and make you feel that you're going to be alone. But others, I think they're just very afraid of being alone. So they do not want to complete this thing. They just want to, it's almost, I have a sense of, if you really start to talk about it with this person, they're always going to want the last word. Like, you're never going to, feel that. But I think that ultimately there will be others who sort of see this and respond well to what you're doing. And I think that opens up other opportunities for you. So it's necessary to do it, but there's a very tricky energy around this. So let's see some other feminine support, in the creation of you becoming true to yourself and getting past this sort of manipulative energy. We're going to get a modern goddess or a couple, a modern goddess or an archetype energy, and then we'll have a look at color energy as well for you. So Hera, that's interesting. That came up for another one, but it's very fitting for this actually. And the Warrior, wow, okay, yeah, you're coming out fighting when you do this. You're very, very strong. You're going to be able to do it. It's sort of, you can't be repressed forever. And Hera is all about personal responsibility. And I think this actually plays out in these cards, because Hera is Zeus's wife, and Zeus, the sort of like the ruler of the universe or whatever in the sort of Greek and Roman mythology, was very powerful, but was also not exactly the best behaved person. And so she was a bit long-suffering on some levels, but she didn't take any rubbish, to be honest. She actually went, no, I'm not going to be the lesser person here. And she had a very strong strength. And I think this is the thing. I think that there's someone around you, lover or friend or family member or colleague or whatever it is, who's tried to make you feel less than. And Hera is here to say there is no way. So I really like that energy. And then the Warrior sort of thing, like you're going to fight if you need to. So that's all very, very helpful for you. Sorry, just had to stop for just a brief second there if you felt the kind of shift in energy, because I had a message coming through that I had to respond to. But I'm back again. So very, very sort of strong energy towards you taking on this and doing it and having the strength and the capacity to do it. Like ultimately, if this person tries to sort of, as I say, have the last word or tries to sort of hold you back, they're not going to be successful, and people are going to applaud seeing this, So this is you coming into your strength. It's actually a really beautiful energy, but it's come from a not particularly beautiful place, I would say, something that you've had to deal with. So let's see the color energy around you to support you, pile 2. Coral, refresh, rejuvenation, renewal. Yeah. And it's interesting, there's sort of like the coral colours with the Archeiai there. So I think that sort of is talking to the sacral chakra, to, you know, what you create, who you are, your feminine beauty, whatever that means to you, you know, depending upon, you know, what gender you are or identify with. There's something in that, but this is meant to be a renewal for you, to break you out of something that was not fair, and to bring in the energy and the creativity and the you that's meant to be in the world. So it's positive, but it is taking this sort of like big change energy. This is why the Tower reverse was not really working for you here, because other people, it's almost like they're slowing it down with that energy. So it's almost like you need the Tower the right way up. You need to just be prepared to sort of like take all before you to be able to deal with this situation. Okay, so let's see what the 5D energy is around you. So if we've been looking at what the Archangel energy is for you, let's see what your own 5D self, your higher self, has to say about this scenario, pile 2. Have the courage to be free. Know that freedom begins where desire ends. So this is about saying, you know, like even this is someone you love or care about, if they can't shift with you and honor you and respect you, you need to let that go. If they can, if you can sort that through and it comes to a happy place, that's wonderful, because it's shifted the energy. But you have to have that courage. You have to be prepared to be free, to say, here are my non-negotiables. Are you going to be with me or not, in whatever scenario this is? And from a different deck, resonant truth. Being in resonance with your soul brings all things to light. Yeah, this is about truth. This is about you getting in touch with your own power and your own beauty and the truth of that. And it will bring some really good energy and good people into your life, or there are some that they're going to really love it and they're going to be really happy to see it. But if people can't deal with that, then they're not dealing with truth. That's the point. You know, like suppressing people to try and win or be dominant is not truthful, and it's kind of pathetic. I always think it's a bit like, you know, people who, for instance, in competitions sort of try and hobble the competition in some way. It always makes me think of, you know, say runners in a race. If, you know, just before the race they sort of kneecap every other runner and then they win and they go, see, I won, I was the best. I mean, it's completely untruthful. It's completely untrue. So that's just an analogy, but you are bringing in truth, and those that can deal with that and go through the change will be with you and happy, and the others, they kind of, you almost can leave them behind to be sort of gnashing their teeth about it, and you move on to sort of something that is more rejuvenated and so forth. So let's see, with a couple of other decks, the creative energy again that you bring in, and then the manifestation that comes out of it. So the creative energy in reclaiming your inner beauty, your inner self, your inner right to be you. Clarity, yeah. Resonant truth. I just think many of you've probably been gaslighted. You've had all sorts of weird sort of stuff with people trying to like control you, put you down, make you think you didn't have a right to have a say, make you think that you're lesser. But this gives you the clarity. This gets you to understand the dynamic that's under all of it, and to know that this is actually the actions of someone who's weak and unclear, whereas you really are going to be able to create this clarity. And then out of that, let's see what you manifest. Opulence. Wow. So this really unlocks a lot for you. You can bring in a much happier, much more beautiful, much more beneficial life for yourself. And if you've been kept back in some way in your career or in your creativity or something like that, you can not only find the clarity and shift beyond that, but I think you can bring in money, you can bring in abundance, you can bring in the sort of like the lifestyle that your sense of creative energy should be giving to you. Okay, so to just finish off pile 2, I just want to get some astrology or numerology energy as well around the message from the Archangel realm to you today. Full moon, yeah. This is the time for you to harvest what is working for you and to let go of that which isn't. This is releasing that which is not going to take you forward, but it is recognizing you deserve a harvest. You deserve more than you've been getting. This is also the ending cycle, so a beginning can come in. Chiron, yeah, and healing. Healing is necessary. This has not been fair. As I say, it's very specific. If this doesn't relate, then it's the wrong reading for you, because if this connects. You know what it is, and you know that you've had to heal, but you will heal through it. This is part of the process. And water, yeah, your heart, heal your heart. Heal that emotional side. Get that Queen of Cups turned the right way up. You know, own your emotional nature. Own who you truly are. That brings clarity. It brings opulence. It brings rejuvenation. And those that can be with you will be with you. And those that can't, it's time to move on. So I hope that that resonates for you, pile 2. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear about it. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 3, to your reading. So you've come to the reading that had Archeiai, purity, cleanse and detoxify, and her divine counterpart archangel is Zadkiel, which is about strengthening your boundaries. It's about sort of knowing what energies to let in and not let in. And there's a couple of other cards from the deck, one that's about ascension and one that also brings in the energy of Archangel Sandalphon, about centering and grounding, to give a sense about some other energy around the message that this divine counterpart duo is bringing to you. You're a group, this is about spiritual development. This is about spiritual ascension. This is about spiritual gifts. So if you don't relate to that for any reason, then you may have come to the wrong reading. And I'm sort of saying this a bit in the beginning of a few of these because I think the messages are very specific. So just so that you know, so this is definitely in that sort of space. It may play out in love relationships, work, or anything like that. That's very possible. But this is really about ascension, the next level, your spiritual abilities. And with Archeiai purity and Archangel Zadkiel, this is all about, I think this is a group of empaths, at the very least, very strong empaths, people who are very telepathic, people who connect into other people's energy very easily, people who may be here to help others ascend as well as doing it yourself, light workers, starseeds, empaths, any of those sorts of energies. This is a power duo in that space, but it is about you getting real with this and understanding the consequences of it so that you can manage that energy and ability. Because Archeiai purity talks about understanding what you're feeling and experiencing and being very honest with yourself about it. And if there is sort of shadow energy, cleansing and detoxifying it, connecting to that which is the higher vibrations, but also understanding what is and isn't yours, because Archangel Zadkiel, with strengthen your boundaries, picks up that energy that you may be actually reflecting or taking in the energy, the emotions, the ideas, the spiritual challenges of other people. This is, as I say, this feels to me like an Archeiai and Archangel pairing that is for empaths and psychics and spiritual healers and spiritual practitioners in that sort of level. So this is saying that you are going through, I think, a sort of phase of going potentially to the next level. The ascension symbol here also connects to the Archangel Metatron, so to the sort of higher orders of the Kabbalah and the Archangel realms around being your own scribe, writing your own truth. This is why it's very, very important to really cleanse and detoxify anything that is not working for you or anything that is not true to you. Sandalphon is also helping you ground your energy, because when you operate at that level, particularly if you're picking up other people's stuff telepathically, empathically, which I think you're doing, you can end up too much in the upper realms. Again, also with Metatron, if you are so high in all of that, you can be ungrounded, and it's almost like that creates half of the problem. You know, it kind of almost like iron filings to a magnet draws in a lot of like ungrounded, unhelpful energy. So I think Sandalphon in particular here around meditation and so forth, get into that sort of sense and think about it as grounded. Even like the colors, I think, in this ascension symbol, although it's of the higher realms, there's sort of like the colors are sort of like like the root chakra or the sacral chakra, sense of grounding energy. The pyramid symbol here, which makes me think of ancient Egypt and things that are very much of the material world. I mean, they were very spiritual, but they are very material representations of something. There is something about grounding your energy and clearing it out, because you are sort of going into the next level, or you're going to do more and more with this. So this is very, very spiritual group. So let's have a look with tarot, firstly about the key message, then we're going to look at what areas in your life it's particularly impacting, and then we're going to see how other people are responding to you, responding to this guidance from the archangel levels. I'm using the Rainbow Moon Tarot because it is gender fluid in its representations, and I feel like that fits the energy of this sort of divine counterpart. I think if this is, the other thing that this could be, I have to say, is a relationship that needs to be sort of cleared and balanced and detoxified, you know. So it could be for some of you with this combination that we're talking about. Not only have you come to a divine counterpart conceptual reading, but it's actually potentially some of you may be twin flames or with soul twins as well. So that's a possibility. But let's have a look a little bit more about the key message that is coming through. So we have 8 of Daggers or Swords reversed, Justice reversed, 10 of Daggers or Swords reversed, Warden, which is Queen of Cups reversed, Chancellor, which is King of Crystals, which is Pentacles upright. Okay, so this is definitely about clearing something out. When we've got both the 8 of Daggers or Swords, as I say, and 10 of Daggers reversed, it's like this is time to clear out things that are on the mental plane, I think, that aren't grounded. I mean, the Chancellor of Crystals here, I think, is a bit like Archangel Sandalphon. It's saying that part of the message is to ground this, to materialize it. And also to get back into your heart. You've lived a lot in your head about this, even if you're sort of like, and it's just telepathy. It's like there is empathy, but empathy is sort of like causing you issues, I think. It's causing you kind of mental issues and so forth. This is why the boundaries are important, understanding them. But a lot of this for you is telepathy. You may even find it hard to work out sometimes, like, is that my thought or is that somebody else's thought? So this message is about clearing that out, freeing yourself from some of the drama that comes with that and grounding your energy using the King of Pentacles here and Archangel Sandalphon. Because it's almost as though what could have happened is that you've got so much, you're so talented in this that you've almost got so much into the theory of it that, as I say, you're kind of almost existing on this sort of higher vibrational plane, but you're not in the world, and you're actually meant to be in the world, because being so much in that kind of almost mental frame of it, and I mean mental spiritually, I'm not talking about, just like thinking things through in a logical way. I'm saying that you're kind of really in your kind of crown chakra, third eye chakra, but you need to also be in your root chakra, sacral chakra, solar plexus chakra, heart chakra, because that's not getting as big a look in, and it's getting everything out of balance. And it could be for some of you that this is because there's something unjust going on. So you're feeling like you have to think it through all the time and you have to take the higher principle, but you also need to ground it. Because something like worst case scenario, this sort of energy, somebody could almost be vampirically taking energy from you or controlling you in some way. You're not even aware that's happening, suppressing your heart energy in some way because of you haven't worked out the boundaries and you haven't grounded what you're doing. It's almost as though you're sort of saying, well, I'm just going to have faith and I'm just going to trust that the universe will look after it. And I think this is saying, well, no, we actually have to kind of interact as well too, and we have to make some decisions, and we have to like clear our own energy field, and we have to understand what's going on, not catastrophize it, but understand it and ground it, that the universe can't do everything because you're in the world, And this, I've seen this can happen, that people who are very, very psychic, very spiritual can almost exist in the liminal, but that often means that their material world doesn't sort of really reflect that. Things go wrong, they don't seem to be able to manifest what they want or whatever, and this is about bringing it into balance. So let's ask what areas of life in particular this is manifesting in. 7 of Wands, Chancellor or King of Wands, Page of Crystals, which is effectively the Page of Pentacles, and Warden of Crystals, which is the Queen of Pentacles. So I think for a lot of you, this is immaterial things. This is all about manifestation, actually. Manifestation, creative manifestation. Very, very interesting, actually, because we've got wands, 2 wands cards here on the side that is around creation, and this is what the Archeiai do. So regardless of the fact this is theoretically the King of Pentacles or whatever, this is the energy of creation, which is creative for you. It's a creative thing. I think that many of you probably channel creatively and telepathically, and you're very, very advanced at it and able to sort of be courageous with what you do. But over here on the manifestation, we have the sort of sense of this needs to this is the grounding energy that you need to bring it into being. It really looks to me like many of you spiritually are highly creative, but you aren't, the area in life where you need to sort of like work on it, and this is partly the courage, is how you manifest this in some way. So I think for some of you, it might literally be a calling that you take your spiritual abilities into some form of a business, whether you literally do a spiritual business or whether you bring your spiritual principles and abilities into it. That is a way to ground it, to make it real in this world. For others, it may be that creative inspiration that's coming through, you're meant to sort of try and manifest that in something, a novel, a painting or something like that. If it's about relationship, then there's a lot of passion in this relationship, but there is a need to sort of, again, ground it. What does it actually look like? What can it actually be? There's a great deal of commitment in it, but what it actually wants to be hasn't been sorted out yet. And that may take some courage as well too, to take the lead on that with the Chancellor of Wands or the King of Wands. But I think for many of you, you're, as I say, spiritually very advanced, but not grounded yet. No criticism meant. That's very easy to happen when you have all that energy coming through. You need the boundaries, and you need to work out what you want to do with this energy. That will help you work out what the boundaries are effectively by focusing on how do you ground. This is why we've got Archangel Sandalphon on it. This is why we've got the Ascension symbol connected to that. Like you're all over this, awakening your inner angel, but you need to ground it. What does it look like in the material world? So let's see how other people respond as you do ground it, because I think this is really what it's saying. You clear out that which is off with the pixies to some degree and bring in that which is grounded and can really truly manifest. How do other people respond to this? Ace of Crystals or Ace of Pentacles reversed. Two of Cups reversed. Magician. Wow, okay. So, some people won't get it. Some people won't really understand what you're doing. I don't think that's really a problem too much. It's just being aware of that. Some people will sort of like not get the first principles of what you're trying to do. Some people will not sort of love the vision of it. They probably unconsciously like the sort of sense that they can almost be in your field and be the focus of your field, and that it's all very ephemeral, but it's not very grounded. So some people are not going to like it. So say, for instance, you set up a spiritual practice and you were used to talking to people about, just, meditate and get into the high vibration and the universe will look after it. You were actually saying, well, actually there's some work to do and some creation to do, and you need to understand yourself very well. Some people are not going to like that, but that's okay. Other people are going to see this is what the true magician does. This is bringing everything into balance. This is really working out how to manifest things. It is really working out how to ascend spiritually, but still be able to be in the world and help others in the world. So there's almost, as though I feel for many of you, there's almost a kind of a crossroads going to come up with other people. That if you start to think more about the practical side of this and what you want to create and clear out, as I say, almost the more ephemeral and not grounded energy, some people are just not going to like it. They're just not going to like that message. And that's fine. Others are going to see that this is at a higher order, that you're really starting to use these abilities and understand them and manifest them. So don't be frightened to do it, but you also have to be prepared to do it yourself. Like you have to be prepared to go, this isn't just about me thinking, I'm an angel or whatever. It's about what would that mean? If I'm connected to the archangel realms, if I'm an earth angel, for instance, what does this actually mean? Why would I be here? So what am I doing? It's that kind of energy. And you're getting so much, because you're so naturally telepathic and you're so naturally empathic, you're getting so many, you need those boundaries so that you can really work that out. How do you use this energy? How do you harness it and ground it rather than just kind of be always in the experience of it, which is what it feels like this particular divine counterpart duo are trying to get you to look at and think about. Because you're talented. It's because you're this. That's why it's important. Okay, so let's see some other feminine energy for you. We'll use the modern goddess deck for goddess or archetype energy, and then also a color goddess deck for color energy around you. But let's ask firstly, some other energies around the feminine principle of creation. And in this case, it's what you need to detoxify, simplify, and kind of work out how to process the information and the energy and so forth that's coming in, so that you can have the right boundaries, so that you can think about what you're going to manifest. So we have Ocean, and we have Quetzalcoatl. So Ocean is about creativity, but she's water creativity. It's very interesting with the Warden of Cups or Queen of Cups reversed here. Part of this is about grounding, but part of it is also getting into your heart. As I say, it's like you're in the kind of, the third eye chakra and the crown chakra. Really, really dialed in, really, really psychic, really spiritually gifted. But it's kind of disconnected from your heart, so the emotional side of things. So I think Ocean is here to reconnect you to that, because it's the pathway then to get to the lower chakras, and how you actually manifest in the world. And Quetzalcoatl is about understanding your own inner beauty. So there's something in this, I think, for many of you, where you've been such a sponge for other people's emotional sort of energy and other people's spiritual energy and all of that kind of thing. You've almost lost yourself in this. This is what's happened. I think this is what it's really trying to say, that you dwell so much in the telepathic and the higher realms that you've lost who you really are to some degree, and the beauty of who you really are. So this is really just sort of saying, get those boundaries better, work out what you want to manifest, who you want to be in the world, because you can be it, you've got the ability, but you've kind of almost got a bit detached from it. And it's like it's saying, with the Metatron, it's sort of like the ascension pathway. You're not going to lose that connection in doing it. It's just you bring it more into balance and you have some purpose for being here. So let's see a color energy for you. Purple. Dignity, nobility, prominence. Yeah. And it's purple energy as well too. You're not going to lose that. Like, I do think that most of the people who've come to this reading, you're very well advanced in this, you really are. But it's just out of balance. And in a weird way, while it's out of balance, I think with that Justice card reversed, things might happen to you that aren't fair, things that feel like it's completely out of whack with what you're getting from the universe. You can't work out why it's happening, but it's really just that it's taking on, it's founding the boundaries and taking on the sort of material responsibility to create what, your own beauty or whatever. Then that's why people will ultimately see you as a magician. Some won't be able to stay in that energy. They won't understand it, but some will really see you this way. There is something about this. And I think for many of you, if you wanted to do sort of spirituality in some form as a business, this is really what you should be doing. And you will be successful, but this is a process. You need to protect yourself as you do it and make sure that you know what you want to create in yourself and in the world more generally. So let's see what your higher self says. We've seen what the Archangel realm is saying, but let's sort of see with a couple of decks what your higher self wants to say to you about this message. Have courage. Awaken the warrior of light within you. It is kind of about courage. It's courage to look at yourself and work out where you might have kind of got a bit off the path by just almost indiscriminately taking this energy in and feeling that was all you had to do. So there's courage to sort of go back into your heart and ground back into the world. It is also courage to know that some people are not going to understand what you do, because it is a less potentially popular message. Like, I mean, there is certainly, some messages in the spiritual community that, you just have to sort of be high vibe and ascend and you'll be in the 5D and, everything will happen for you. But like, that's not really what happens, I think. When you really look at what happens, we are here for a reason. We've got to kind of mediate those two things. So some people are not going to like it, but have courage, because this is you really starting to come into your power. And way changer. You're a liberating force here to inspire change and challenge the system. Yeah, you can't just go along with it and sort of sit in glorious isolation of your sort of spiritual abilities. You are meant to be doing something in this world. You are advanced. You are meant to be doing it, but it takes something in the world. It takes this courage. It takes understanding that the material world and the intellectual world and well, actually for you, it's the emotional world and the material world. That actually, I'm getting very strongly. One of the things about this is that the prominence on the kind of spiritual and the intellectual in particular, it goes very fast. You get things very fast. This is almost like with Cups energy and Pentacles energy, you need to slow down a bit and let other people catch up and understand you, but also allow yourself to have those boundaries, because there is a purpose to you being here. It's not just kind of for your development on its own. It's actually with the ascension sort of pathway there, you're meant to help other people, but you're going too fast in a way. It's all like, what they think before they even know they're thinking it, is sort of the energy. So that won't help people. And some people are not going to like this, as I say, but those that do, that get it, you're really going to be sort of like helping them become the magician as well. Okay, so let's see what you create, the create energy, and what you manifest, the manifestation energy of this, just at a high level. So creating, play, having a bit of fun. Yeah, because it's probably very earnest, I've got to say, if you're sort of like, oh, I'm sort of like with this, the higher spiritual levels and all that kind of stuff, it probably feels very earnest, like, everything has to be very pure. But, like there's actually a lot of light and energy around this. When you get the boundaries right, you can have a bit of fun, So starting to sort of see this as fun. What can I create? What can I feel? What can I be? And then what does that manifest for you? Ambition. Yeah. This is ambition in this world, because the ascension pathways are sort of in some ways quite natural to you, but the ambition, what do you want to do with this in the world? How do you want to be a wave changer, all that sort of stuff. When you start to ground this energy, then, and if you want to turn around injustice, you're going to be able to do that better. If you want to manifest materially, you're going to be able to do that better. This is like, you have to understand your personal responsibility in this that goes with the power. You need to see that it's not enough just to exist in those realms. You're cutting off your own opportunities and your own blessings if you do that. So to finish off, I just want to get you some astrology or numerology energy also around this message from the Archangel realms to you, pile 3. Saturn, yeah. It's the things that take a little bit more time. It's the grounding. It's, the Sandalphon is very powerful with this, actually. This is your core message, that you are meant to sort of understand your abilities and where you need to have boundaries and detoxify for that. But Sandalphon is very powerful here as well. You are meant to have a position of authority, be a leader in this in some way, to take the time to do that, to consolidate it, to ground it. Very ancient knowledge that you have, I think. And we also have 4, foundations. Foundations, like what is manifest? What is a structure that this can be built on? And 7, the courage. And this is, again, 7 is a very, very holy sort of number, so that you're always just because you ground, you're not going to lose your connection with the holy levels, but there is a kind of a courage about grounding it and bringing that in, and it seeing the legacy, like there's a legacy, I guess, is what I would say. So as I said right from the beginning, the people in this reading, you're very spiritually advanced, but you may need to work out how to protect your own energy with this and work out what you want to do with it. Because it's really, the Archangel realms are here. I mean, you have free will, you can do whatever you like, but to really, really get that ascension pathway and really realize your potential, you do need to ground this energy. You need to connect it to your heart, and you need to ground it, because there's a lot that you can bring in, including a kind of a spiritual legacy. But at the moment, you're kind of overwhelmed by it, or you're just, as I say, kind of thinking, I meditate every day, so I'm spiritually advanced. And it's sort of like there's more to it than that for you, pile 3. So it's not meant to be sort of, kind of critical. There is a hell of a lot to you, but this is really the Archangel realm wanting you to make the most of it. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear about it. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 4, to your reading. So you came to the Archeiai charity, whose divine counterpart is Archangel Chamiel, or Shamiel. I'm not really sure how to pronounce that name. This is interesting because you've also got Archangel Raziel and Archeiai Radiant. This is fairly clear what this is about, and it's been a bit like this actually in this set of readings, that it's quite clear, I think, what the message is, or the core of the message. So you'll be able to work out whether this resonates for you or whether to look at another reading if it doesn't. But I think this is about love. Now, it could be about love in the broad sense, love for others, love for humanity, all of those sorts of things. But I think for most, this is about finding the right love partner, or at least the right friendships, the right sort of people to be around, because Archeiai charity is about bringing in love energy. It is about, understanding and sort of sending out to the universe, in a sense, your love, and drawing that energy in. This is a time for the people who've come to this reading for you to bring in love. For some of you, you may be in a relationship but it's not maybe the one you want or whatever, or you may be alone and you may be looking for something, or you may be in separation from a relationship you want. But there is definitely a sort of sense here about this is time to bring love into life. And I think for most in this, it's going to be about romantic love. Archangel Chamuel, as the divine counterpart of the Archeiai charity, says that the way that you do that is to be what you want to attract, to manifest and to sort of vibrate to, I guess, the energy that you want. And it's interesting that we have Archeiai Radiant here that talks about raising your standards. Like, you maybe have undersold yourself. I think this Archeiai here is to say to you, if you're creating and bringing in the love that the Archeiai charity wants you to bring in and attracting what you want, you've maybe undersold yourself to some degree. You need to see that you are lovable and see that you deserve the type of love that you want to give, and raise your standards. Do not think, I have to, I'm this age, so I have to have this sort of partner, or I'm, this is how I look, so this is what I'm going to get, or any of those sort of things. That you're actually underselling yourself big time. And with Archangel Raziel, this is a learning experience for you. Raziel is extremely wise. This deck talks about it as being almost like the sort of professor of the celestial realms. I think the actual terminology that's used is something like the magical professor of heaven, which I really like, given the sort of connection to Chokmah and the Kabbalah. So this is saying that you have a magician energy around you, a capacity to create and manifest that is more than you think. You really, really undersold yourself. So this is the key message. This divine counterpart duo is here to say you've probably got a divine counterpart, or at least someone who is meant to be with you, who is at your standards, not what you've been doing to yourself. And don't underestimate your spiritual ability and your capacity to do it. You really can bring in this energy by focusing on sending out the energy that you want. You can draw it in. You have a lot of spiritual and sort of magical power, but you've got to believe it. You've got to believe it. Believe that you're ready for love. Believe that you're worthy of love, and then start to sort of be that in the world, and that will come to you. So very, very powerful, positive message. So let's ask the tarot some further information. So we're going to start with what is the key message that they're bringing, and I think we already see it, but we'll just see what else they want to say about it. Then what areas in your life is this most impacting? Again, probably love, but we'll see what else might be on the table. And then lastly, how do others respond to this energy as you follow the guidance? I'm using the Rainbow Tarot here because it's gender fluid in its depictions, and I felt that was sort of most suitable for this type of reading. So firstly, Spirit, tell us a little bit more about the key message from this divine counterpart Archeiai and Archangel duo is for pile 4. So we have Warden of Cups, which is Queen of Cups, Page of Crystals, which is Page of Pentacles reversed, Strength, there's your strength, all right, Eight of Wands reversed, Warden of Daggers, so that's effectively the Queen of Swords. So very interesting to have two queens on either side of this. There is your emotional authenticity, your emotional beauty is very, very strong. And Warden of Daggers, your capacity to think and vibrate to that level is very, very strong. But there's a clue in here about why you may not have felt that you manifested it yet with the Page of Crystals. So I think for most of you, you're either in a relationship that you're trying to really bring into proper love and harmony and union, or you've been alone, or you've been in a relationship that was there, but you feel a little bit distant for any number of reasons. It could be work, it could be time, it could be anything. But what this is saying, at the core, it's saying you have the strength to do this. So this is, yes, you are like the Archangel Raziel. The block that you've had was just to learn, change, grow, and understand what you could do. Because once you start to make your standards what they are and demand of the other or of the world what it is that you are prepared to give in terms of love, your strength comes through. And that then will allow you to work out how to emotionally bring in, with the Page of Crystals reversed here, bring in what you would want this to look like on a manifest level. But you need to know what that is, because this is picking up the Archeiai Radiant here, raising your standards. It's like you haven't almost done a list about what it would be that you would require in a love relationship or, or a friendship or whatever this is. You haven't really even stopped to think about that yet. You've kind of been reactive. It says a bit of an energy of people, and look, it gets socialized into people quite often, and particularly into women, but it's more generally around one of the great signs of love is what the other person does and how much they care about us. But often people, and I found this with friends quite often, don't stop to think, what do they really think of the other person? Everything is focused on what does the other person think of them. This, I think, is inviting you to switch that and go, am I with the people that the person I want to be with? What would the person I wanted to be with, what would I like? What would be on my list? There's something in that. And it helps free you, because at the moment, you're a little bit, your momentum in this, your own self-critic, your own, what do I deserve, And that self-critical voice could have been put into you from childhood, from friends, it could be anything. But you are blocking your own progress by the inner critic and not listening to the inner heart. But your strength is all there. The message is very clear, powerful. So let's ask, what area in your life is this most impacting? And I do think it's around love in general, but we'll just sort of see how this might be playing out. Six of Cups, Ace of Daggers, Chancellor of Crystals, so that's the King of Pentacles reversed, and the Warden of Crystals, that's the Queen of Pentacles reversed. Okay, I've got to say, this is probably going to be true for most people who come here. It seems specific, but I think it's going to be pretty true for most. But if this doesn't resonate, I'll talk about some other things. I think this is saying that this not holding yourself up to the standards that you really have, like not seeing yourself as lovable as you actually are, not even thinking you can do this, has come from some programming from childhood. When we've got both the King and Queen of Crystals reversed, I feel like this is something in sort of like from your parents or from nurturing figures anyway, Six of Cups when you were young. And what you need is a new attitude with the Ace of Daggers, a different way of thinking about things. Your heart is very beautiful, but you're using your mind at the moment as a critique, and you've heard this critique. If it wasn't in family, then it's been in friendships around you. But I just sort of feel like with the King and Queen there, I just feel like this is a negative energy from like childhood, or as I say, early nurturing figures in some way, teachers or something like that. So the way this has to manifest is you reclaiming what it was that you wanted when you were very young, who you really are, what your emotional connection is, what love would mean to you. I feel quite heart sore looking at this. I feel like many of you were not loved as much as you should have been when you were young. You maybe didn't even have great role models for that. Some of you may have come from broken families, all of that sort of thing. And I'm not meaning to be overly critical of your parents if that's the case. People do the best that they can do. But I just feel as though you have felt not cursed exactly, but almost like how could you bring in the love you want? And this message is very, very strong that you actually can, and that you were resilient enough, ultimately strong enough to deal with this. Many other people would not have been in this situation or put in this situation because it would be too much for them. But you were there almost to learn so that you reclaim who you are and you bring the love in. So it's a hard lesson, but I think it's time now for this new way of looking at things. So let's see how people respond when you do this, when you start to own that you're very lovable and that you could draw in the right sort of love. Moon reversed, Three of Daggers reversed, Knight of Wands. Okay, you're going to be very, very attractive. Like once you really start to do this, you'll be surprised. Like you'll probably find you have more options than you expected. So very, very attractive. And it causes people to come towards you. They're drawn towards you. Other people will also see in you, I think, how you've healed yourself, and that they could heal themselves as well. So there are going to be people who are drawn to you, even if it isn't as a lover, even if it's like friends or whatever around you, who see that you have come through pain and risen above it, and they're inspired by that. But something may come out. So if this is in a difficult relationship with the moon reverse, you're going to hear or learn something. It either will make you say this is the person, or it's going to make you go, you know what, my standards were too low and I don't want to be with this person. So it could be that you separate from somebody at this point in time if you sort of find out that they weren't committed, or that they're not on the same sort of level as you, or they don't care as much as you care, or whatever it might be. There's something where you're going to get information, hear from others and so forth about things that are really going on, which will give you more information to then be able to make the choices that are right for you. I just feel like some people won't be able to withstand you coming into your power, and you'll see it. It'll be obvious. Others will see this as inspirational and others will be drawn to you. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, and it has been across many of these readings that, like, I think when people come into their power, which is what these divine counterparts are wanting for the people who are coming to the readings, some people love it and really work with it. Other people aren't able to deal with it, but that's their problem. It's not your problem. So let's have a look at some other feminine energy. So some goddess or archetype energy for you, and then some color energy to help manifest this very beautiful promise, I think, that the divine counterparts from the Archangel realm or the angelic realm are bringing you. So we have Baba Yaga, wow, and Easter. Okay. This is the fierceness that you need to have where things are not right, where you have had lower standards, than you should have had, where you might have been taught to feel less of yourself than you should have had. Baba Yaga comes forward and can be incredibly beneficial to those that are prepared to go through that sort of change. And I think this is the energy to show you that you are, but it will also bring out that which was not valid for you, but that is necessary. It may feel a little bit painful potentially for some of you, but it will be necessary. It brings in the new and the beautiful and the new with Easter. Love, happiness, all those beautiful colors. There's that sense of the cycle where you have put yourself down or seen yourself as lesser than is over. Powerful. This is what this message is saying. You have been far too hard on yourself. Baba Yaga is coming to make you cut those cords where they have been difficult for you. And Easter is coming in to bring in the new beginning. So let's see a color energy around you as well. Mint, daydream, fantasy, imagination. I think this is saying, like, get into what it is that you want. This is the thing. This is the message. Like, understand that you can bring in the love. Imagine what you want. Have that list of your qualities. Like, literally sit down and write down what qualities are you looking for someone. Like, imagine what it is that you want, because that's all you really need to do. The once upon a time, dreams can come true. Mint being, green in the heart space. Like, this is like, you really can do it. You've just got to start to believe that you could be, the one who brings in what they want, not sort of the one who's like, I'm actually literally getting with once upon a time here. It's like a Cinderella story in the sense of maybe you were in a family dynamic or a group dynamic where you were kind of not invited to the ball, for instance, but you actually could imagine and bring yourself to that. This is you unlocking your strength. I kind of think it's interesting that the strength card's wearing a green dress, and this very similar green there. I feel like it's like the heart energy. Your heart is your strength. You amazingly beautiful heart energy, actually. This is why I'm sort of like feeling a bit heart torn to see what you've been through, but there is so much promise here if you just open yourself to it. So let's see what your higher self wants to say. We've been hearing from the Archangel realm, so let's see what your higher self has to say about the message that they've brought. It is time for a change. Do not wait or put off decisions any longer. Yeah. You have to start believing in your beauty and your lovability because it's profound. You just need to let go of all that programming. And creative engineer, you have a creative intelligence capable of multiple solutions. So yeah, you can create this. You can bring it in, with Raziel or whatever. You are a bit of a sort of a genius, a bit of a magician, a bit of a, as I say, professor of the heavens. Like, you really can do it, like you can go into the matrix in a sense and draw in the love that you want. So just believe in that. Your capacity there is profound. Okay, so let's see what, again, like overarching creative energy we have, and then manifestation energy from following the advice of this divine counterpart. Intention. Yeah, that's all you need. Your creative energy here is just to have the intention to bring love in, and it will come. But you have to understand that you have sort of subconsciously put yourself down because of programming. And when you can break free of that and understand how much power you have to bring in love, you can do that. But you have to genuinely have that intention, not sort of bargain with the universe or anything like that. This is genuinely understanding how lovable you are. And then what can you manifest? Good fortune. Yeah. You can bring it in. You deserve it. You're actually, the energy of this is really lovely, I have to say. The people who've come to this are very, very lovely, but I just don't think that you understand how lovely you are. So this is a way of understanding that, like having the intention and bringing it in and seeing it. You deserve great love, pile 4. So to finish off, we're just going to get some astrology or numerology energy around the message for you. Pluto, yeah, big transformation. And there's a lot of power and a lot of murky, shadowy stuff around all of this too, in whatever it was that sort of made you doubt yourself. But Pluto is here I mean, it is like you've been in the dark night of the soul. You come out of the dark night of the soul with Pluto's energy to transform. It is time for a change, as your higher self says. And very powerful. Like, Pluto's very powerful. You're very powerful, but in a really lovely, gentle way. And unfortunately, I think that's been kind of pushed down a bit by others, consciously or not. But it's time for you to find love in whatever form that means for you. Aries, yeah, and find your strength, your energy, your ambition, and starting anew again. Aries is the first sign in the zodiac, so time for a change, time for a complete clean sweep. Who do you want to be? You know, what is your strength? What is your passion? And 5th house, yeah, and it's about love. Love and creativity, and creating the love that you want. A creative act is to bring in the love that you want. So it's definitely that. Plus, I'm getting for some of you, when you find this love, there's like a child, like there's a child that you bring in that is very, very important and very spiritually advanced. I feel like it's interesting. It's just that's quite specific, but it came in that the 5th house children side of this is important too. And I think that it's saying that, you know, those of you that do from this love create children, it's like you create a new, you've transformed and freed up that energy that was negative around parenting. You know, like your parental way of doing things will be much more healthy to allow people to develop within themselves that sort of self-esteem that allows proper love in. So it is a lovely energy, pile 4, but I do think you've suffered a bit for this in the past, but it's time now for you to draw that love in. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear about it. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.